Tony Soprano, Morticia Adams, the Cowardly Lion, the Minions from the movie The Minions. What do all these people have in common? Well, not a lot, but they are all characters and their stats were probably randomized by rolling a series of polyhedral dice across the table. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make some silly D&D characters. Let's go! Hello, my name is Tom Oxnam. If you are wondering how I ended up in your subscription box, you may have seen my animated short. It's called Take a Look at This Guy. You can watch it here. Otherwise, I am an artist, I'm an illustrator, I'm an animator from Australia. I'm also a big D&D nerd. I've been playing for years. I have made art of pretty much every character I've ever played, but I have run out of them. I've made art of them all. So we are going to randomize some stuff. I have some dice, we're going to roll them, we're going to create some silly little guys, and we're going to draw them. It's going to be a good time. So let's roll some dice. Alright, so we have a bunch of random tables to roll on, things like races, age, classes, backgrounds, blah, 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 blah. I'll link them all in the description if you want them, but we're just going to get right into it. So first up is a D100 for race, and we get a 90, which is an orc. Great. That is a personal favorite. Alright, next we have age. We just got to make sure we don't roll a 1 and get a literal child. 51, okay, thank God. That is a young adult. Next, we'll do a quick D20 to find out their level. It's a 15. Cool. Pretty high level. We'll find out what class that is in. We'll roll another D100. A 10. Okay, that is Barbarian. Hell yeah, cool. All right, let's see what path Barbarian they are. We have the subclass table here, so we'll just roll another D8. There's a 4. Path of the Berserker. I don't actually know a whole lot about that, so we'll look into it, but it makes sense for an orc. Next, we have a big backgrounds table. Some of these are actual 5e backgrounds. Most are just random jobs that I put in a list to get some variety. So we'll roll again. And that is a 30. Harbor folk, we have a little fisherman. That'll be fun. Next is a big table of random personality types that I found on Reddit, I think. There's some really fun stuff on here, so we'll just roll another D100, and we get a 26, which is a foppish dandy. That's really good. Little camp, but angry orc. And the last table we have is just a random trinket table, so we can get a feel for what they have on them. And we get a 32. So a knife that belonged to a relative. Maybe it's a fishing knife. We can definitely work with that. Cool, we have a lot to go on. Let's get to the brainstorming session. Okay, so we have our character. He's a young adult orc, level 15 barbarian, path of the berserker. He's a harbor folk, he's a foppish dandy, and he has a knife that belonged to a relative. Orc. Immediately I'm thinking, hunk. Orcs are sexy. We're going to put that right up the top, because that is the most important thing today, I think, is we make a real hunk. Young adult, I'm thinking like 20 to 30. He's a level 15 barbarian, so he's been at it for a while. Path of the Berserker barbarian, I'm not too sure what that is. I've played a barbarian before. He was a Storm Herald barbarian, though. For some barbarians, rage is a means to an end, that end being violence. The path of the Berserker is a path of untrammeled fury, slick with blood. As you enter the Berserker's rage, you thrill in the chaos of battle, heedless of your own health and well-being. Well, that's kind of camp. Isn't that just a barbarian? It's a angrier barbarian. So he's a extra angry barb. Harborfolk. This is where I think we get a lot of our character from. Harborfolk, I'm thinking pirate, I'm thinking fishmonger, I'm thinking sailor, and maybe he's like a big sea hunter. Maybe he like hunts sea beasts. He's like battled krakens and sea serpents and mermaids. I think that's a fun angle. That kind of ties into the foppish dandy of it all as well, because when I think foppish, I think 1920s, like turn of the century harboring. There was a lot more harbor related activities happening back then. Hello sailor. Oh, that's kind of perfect. Hello sailor. And a knife that belonged to a relative. I think that's got to be a fishing knife. Yeah, I think that's the vibe. I'm thinking In terms of weapons, he's got his fishing knife. That's probably his offhand. In his main hand, maybe like a harpoon? A big, like, angry, magical harpoon. Maybe we can find a fun magic weapon in the magic harpoon in the player's guide or a homebrew or something. A sexy 29-year-old angry camp sailor who hunts krakens is the vibe. In terms of fishing gear, I'm thinking like those yellow overalls that like kind of oversized. Maybe you like cinch them at the waist. If you want a good time, Google a foppish dandy because there's some real good stuff going on. So we have to figure out a way to kind of combine these two vibes. I'm thinking hand on hip, sass. He takes a little bit too much care of himself for someone who's like out on the ocean all the time. And I think he just hates fish. Let's draw a little fish. And he just wants to see all of them dead. What does he look like? When I think fisherman, I think the dad from Luca that has like the real big chin and like the big mustache. I think big thick neck. What do we like from this? I like mustache and I like thick neck. But if we're going more foppish, maybe he's like his hair's a little too well kept. Maybe he uses like whale blubber or something for it. And I think it needs to be angrier. He's a barbarian. Maybe he has big, thick, kind of angry eyebrows and he's like I like it, but what if he had like a little John Waters must? Oh, I like that a lot. Okay, in terms of build, I'm thinking like big Dorito shoulders, because he's strong. Big Dorito build, really tiny little waist, like little sassy hip. Then he has like big shoulders, and maybe like a hand on the hip sort of deal. Maybe he's holding a little fish at his hip. Maybe he's like holding his. Maybe he's holding his harpoon in one hand and looking like, oh yes, look at what I just caught. Just ignore his legs, they're so small. And I think he's got to be shirtless, right? He's a barbarian. They don't wear armor. Fucking sexy overalls, and that's it. Kind of like this vibe. I did this drawing for Pride Month of like a demon twink who had like a bunch of things next to it. Maybe we do a similar sort of thing. We have like some fish that he caught. We have his tackle box. We have maybe some magic items that he has. Some random things around him, and we kind of fill in the space that way. I like the vibe of this kind of dandy man up here. We have our sketch. I'm going to go into a time lapse and I'm going to just sketch out an idea, and then we'll come back, we'll talk through it, we'll make some adjustments. Maybe we'll roll for a random color scheme. But I like this vibe. Angry fisherman, big game hunter, real proud of his catch, but like angry. Cool. I'm going to see what I can put together. I will see you after this time lapse. All right, we are back. So we have our sketch. This is our hunk. I'm really happy with him. We've got his harpoon. He's fishing. He's got a little mermaid tattoo. He's a little angry, but a little camp. I tried to get some fishy related equipment around him. So we got boots, we got an oil lamp. I think this little ring could be like a ring of water walking or something. Maybe we'll put some like wave designs on it. Little health potion. He's got his family's hunting blade. So yeah, I'm thinking he's going to be in full color, and everything around him will maybe be in like a monochromatic palette. But speaking of palette, we need colors. So, got coolers.co, an old faithful. We're going to click through 5 times. We are going to see what we get. We're praying we don't get anything this monochromatic. We're praying for a yellow. We're hoping for a blue, maybe a green. So let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey. Oh, I like that. It's kind of a little muted, but we've got like a nice green. We've got a yellow. We've got a dark and a really light. That's really helpful. I quite like this. So we've got eggshell. We've got burnt sienna. We've got Delft blue, Cambridge blue, and sunset. Kind of perfect. I'm seeing a green. Obviously, that is good for skin. I'm just going to really roughly kind of block colors in just so we can get a little feel for it before we do all of our line work. The hair, I think I like the idea of this sandy blonde. That's kind of a nicer vibe. We could either go with the red overalls, or we could go that more sandy khaki color if we want. No, I think I like the red. I think the red is a fun vibe. In terms of the harpoon, we don't really have a gray. We have a dark blue. I think that'll work for like the hilt. Do I cheat and give myself a little gray? I'm gonna do it. I yearn for a warm gray. I know there's more interesting artistic ways to do metal than gray, but I think for this, it kind of works. What color do I want the fish? I think this fish up here should be red. I think that's fun. And maybe the fish down here is yellow color. So we kind of got the balance. We got the red, and we got the yellow. I like that. Then we get that like purpley blue in for like the buckles. We've got a white, which is good for eyes and teeth. For our background colors, I want them all to be the same. We're going like monochromatic with it. I'm going to try something. I'm going to color them all in with this darker color. Okay, so I've kind of filled in the background with what I'm kind of thinking. In terms of like objects on top of the background, I'm like either we can like do it real monochromatic, maybe have like 3 different shades of that lighter green. I kind of like that with just like line art. Otherwise we go with the red, but then I feel like that washes out the red through here, so maybe we'd want to go lighten him up completely. I don't hate that, and go monochromatic with the background. I kind of like that, and then we can use like this red and maybe like a lighter and a darker version of it, and we can like add in like highlights to things, maybe like around the outside of this bottle or that label. Yeah, he kind of pops out of the frame a little bit more than everything else. Everything else kind of blends with the background. We've got some nice and bright things happening. Watch this change completely as I finish it, but for now, I think we've got our colors and everything okay. I'm going to swap to my iPad so I can do this on the couch while I watch a movie, and we will see how we go, honestly. Do another time-lapse. and we are done. This is our fisherman orc. I got a new microphone. I gave myself a haircut. It's been a wild few hours. It's the next day, even. So thank you for bearing with this video. The qualities have probably been up and down. I am experimenting. This is a new endeavor, so thank you for bearing with me. But yes, let's go through our list and make sure that we ticked every point for our orc. So number 1, orc. Crushed it. That's an orc. I look at that and I go, I want to have sex with him. That's an orc. Young adult. Definitely. I think he's on the older end. He's more an experienced young adult, but he's a young adult. Level 15, Path of the Berserker Barbarian. This is where I may have lost a little bit. He's definitely a barbarian. I don't know if he's particularly angry. He's more peeved, but you see this in a D&D game, you'd accept it. Harbor folk. This is the biggest tick anyone's ever ticked. We nailed that. That is a man of the fish. That's a man of the fish. You look at him, you go, he grew up near a harbor. So nailed that. Foppish dandy. He's definitely queer-coded. Let's be real. He's camp. So I think another big tick there. And a knife that belonged to a relative. It's right there. I tried to make it look like it was maybe made of like whalebone or something. There's a little shark tooth there. So yeah, we nailed it. 8 out of 8. Big tick. But the one thing we don't have is a name. So if you have any ideas for a name for this fellow, drop them in the comments. I will choose one before the next video. But otherwise, like, comment, subscribe. I've never said that before. We will be back in a week or two and we'll roll another one. Hopefully we can get a party together over the next few months. But yeah, let me know what you liked. Let me know what you didn't. And next time will be even better. But for the meantime, thank you for watching. Go watch my short film if you haven't already. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.